Hello everyone, welcome to SI UK India webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we are now live with University of Strathclyde. Today we have Scott with us. He will be taking us through this webinar. We'll answer all the questions after the presentation during the Q&A session. So let's start the webinar. Over to you, Scott.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the introduction. And thank you very much for helping us host this webinar. My name is Scott Clapperton. I'm Senior International Recruitment Officer for South Asia at the University of Strathclyde. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by our panelists today, so two current students and one of our alumni as well. So hopefully today's session will give you, will share their experiences and backgrounds of the University of Strathclyde regarding Glasgow as a city, and also what it's like to study in the UK. So hopefully it's going to be really useful for those of you who are still looking at considering or potentially holding offers for Strathclyde or other institutions in the UK. So I really appreciate those to join us, and I really appreciate our panelists for joining us this morning. I'm going to hand over to go to Amber first, just to give a brief introduction, and then work our way around the rest of the panel, so you know who everybody is, and then we'll get started with some questions. So just over to yourself, Amber, to introduce.
All right. Hi, I'm Ambe, and I'm currently in India. I'm in my third year studying BA Business Honours in Marketing and Business Technology. So that's about me.
Great, thanks, Amber. And Gaurav?
Hi everyone, my name is Gaurav. I'm studying post-graduation MSc Sustainable Finance at the University of Strathclyde. I'm currently in Glasgow. It's a good sunny day, and yeah, really excited to have your all questions answered, and yeah, really excited to have you guys as well.
Great, thank you. I'm finally sorry, David, you just okay just to give a brief introduction of yourself? Sorry.
So hi everyone, I'm Divij Behel. I graduated from University of Strathclyde. I did Masters in Business Management. I graduated in 2014, and currently I'm in India. I am a general manager in the company called Yatra.com. I believe a lot of people in India would have heard about this name. And pretty much that's about me. I have close to 11 years of experience now. So any questions after the session on career or staying in UK or any other countries are welcome, as I have exposure of 19 plus countries.
That's great. Thank you very much. And again, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it. So we've got some questions that we've kind of created on behalf of the panelists. Hopefully that we think are kind of related to those of you who are watching, kind of relate to your concerns or questions that you might have about starting at Strathclyde, maybe looking at considering Glasgow as a study destination, or considering the UK as a study destination, and get information from a very knowledgeable panelists about kind of their experiences of that as well. So we're going to kick off some questions, and I believe there'll be time for for those of you who are watching on the YouTube Live as well. If you would post any questions on that, SI UK can help feed those to us at the end. But I'm going to kick off, and the first question that we have is, how did each of you kind of come to learn about Strathclyde? Just kind of a brief overview of kind of how you came to learn about the university, and why you decided to study here compared to, you know, if you applied to other universities in the UK, why you came to Strathclyde, Glasgow, UK as a study destination over other potential options that you may have. So if I start with Divij, because you were the first person on the panel, we started with your journey before everybody else. So if I come to you first.
So I had done engineering from India in my undergrads, and I was planning to do MBA or MBM. MBM is a pre-experience program of Strathclyde. So I was going through the FT rankings, Times Business ranking. So I wanted to do it from the top 100 B schools only. So that is where Strathclyde was at number 60 in those times in 2012, 2013. So I decided to do MBM from Strathclyde. That was the major reason. And I had a look at Harvard's and Oxford's and all those universities as well. But I would say, like in India, we have a concept of value for money. Strathclyde was the most value for money in terms of the fee that we were paying and the FT rankings and the career 3 years down the line. So that is how I decided to go ahead with University of Strathclyde.
That's great. Thanks, David. And over to yourself, Abby.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I chose Strathclyde because my brother was also looking at universities within Glasgow, and Glasgow is literally the hub of many and very good universities. So he kind of started studying at University of Glasgow, and I was like, okay, I wanna definitely go to Glasgow as well because I'd learned so much about it from him, and it sounded really exciting. So I ended up looking at universities, and the course that I kind of pursued initially, I wanted to do economics with entrepreneurship. But I learned that in Strathclyde, there's the sense of flexibility, which means that you can kind of learn all your subjects in the first year and kind of choose for yourself in the second year whether you're comfortable with it or not. And that kind of caught my eye, and I was like fixated on Strathclyde.
Brilliant. Thank you, Abby. And finally, Gaurav.
So I'm a qualified chartered accountant from India, and I was working with Grant Thornton in risk advisory services. So while working, there were a lot of projects and there were a lot of talks about sustainability in finance and corporate. And yeah, that just thought, I just thought, thought of doing something, a program or some kind of a master's course in sustainability and sustainable finance. And, at the time I was looking at the various universities offering the course across the world. Honestly, I wasn't fixated on the UK. I was looking all over the world. But honestly, only the Europe and the UK was providing programs like these in sustainability. And surprisingly, in the UK as well, Strathclyde was one of the only few universities that was offering. I am part of the first cohort of sustainable finance as well. And so, yeah, I applied to a couple of unis in the UK for this program, and I got offer from each of those unis. But yeah, comparatively, as Divish mentioned, Strathclyde has a better ranking as compared to all the other unis that are offering this particular program. And yeah, I'm like, yeah, if not this, then there's no other option available for me. So it's good. It has good ranking. It's the first cohort, so I get to be part of the foundation course as well and get into the field of sustainability early in the whole process. So yeah, that was the whole background for me why I chose Strathclyde.
Great, thank you. I think, yeah, it just kind of highlights, obviously, the number of kind of different reasons why students kind of choose different, obviously, was going for kind of flexibility in terms of the course, and that really appealed. Gaurav, yourself, in terms of sustainable finance was not a huge field, so maybe limited options, and obviously the Veg was looking at kind of quality institutions in terms of kind of value for money as well. So it just kind of exemplifies kind of the number of reasons that go into for yourself, the kind of student making decision, the decision making process when you're choosing a university as well. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. And sticking with yourself, Gaurav, what has to date, how has your experience of Scotland and Glasgow been like as a study destination, and also just as somewhere to live? Obviously, your current home city and country while you're studying at the university.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. I had come to Scotland last year, and it was my first time being in Glasgow, first time in Scotland as well. But yeah, Scotland, the Glasgow specifically has like at least 6 to 7 big universities. So it's kind of a student city. You see a lot of international students studying here. And we live in the city center near all the unis, so you see different kinds of people. And accordingly, there are a lot of facilities specifically designed for students. I mean, even including everything. The uni is great. There are a lot of different types of things you could do in Glasgow as well. So overall, it has been really good. For the first couple months, I mean, exploring the city has been quite exciting. It's beautiful. You could do a lot of things even on weekends and during your course as well. So yeah, it's pretty accessible. Um, I would just say in summary, I mean, I loved being in Glasgow for the last 10, 11 months. And yeah, I've had really good experience.
Brilliant, thank you. And I know you said you obviously had that affiliation to Glasgow already with your brother studying at the University of Glasgow already. Did Glasgow kind of meet your expectations? Obviously, you had a little bit of knowledge of it before, but what's your experience been like of Glasgow and Scotland so far?
So I'm going to be starting my third year in Glasgow, and I must say that I'm actually surprised to see how exciting Glasgow is as a city. There's this popular saying, people make Glasgow, which is really true because you'd see the most kindest people who are actually trying to help you. The only thing you need to do is basically reach out for help. That's all that's needed from your part. And I think the city has amazing commute systems as well. So you can travel in loads of places while you're completing your education, which is great because when you come for the purpose of studying, you also want to learn the markets of different places, and that's only possible when you kind of experience it all. And that is really kind of available through Glasgow because it's almost located in a way where you can reach to places within 2 hours. So whether it be Edinburgh, Stirling, or different places like that. So yeah, my experience so far has been absolutely amazing, and I don't think I would have had it any other way. So it's been great.
Obviously, a little bit longer time ago for yourself, but yeah, how was your experience? And is it still something that you look back on?
I totally agree with Ambe. The Glasgow experience was marvelous. Like I still travel to London twice a year, and I would say Glasgow people are very sweet. Like I would say whenever you ask someone for something, generally people would say, "Can I get that, please?" In India, we are not used to that politeness all the time for each and every small stuff, but in Glasgow, people do that. It was wonderful experience both in Strathclyde and Glasgow. And as people make Glasgow, I had like 17 nationalities and we were studying together. So that was the great experience. Plus, I got an opportunity to represent our university as well as India in G20 youth forums and youth summits. So I was the first person from the university, also, by the way. So I had not imagined all this stuff going to another country from where I do not belong and all that stuff. I had visited Oxford universities and all that before I decided to go to Strathclyde. I hadn't visited Strathclyde. It really amazed me and the experience. And you had variety of options to live, eat, everything. It was really great experience, I would say. Much better, cost effective compared to London as well.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. And obviously, all of you have come from in India and obviously had maybe conceptions of what Scotland, Glasgow, UK was like. How easy was the transition for you from India to Scotland in terms of, was there many adjustments? Anything took you by surprise in terms of living here, the study environment, the way how was each of your transition? I'll start with
Yeah. So the transition in terms of, I would say, moving there because we pretty much do our entire business education in English language here in India as well. So from that perspective, it was a cakewalk. But when I talk about living there and the rest of the stuff, so I'm from New Delhi, the capital of India, born and brought up here. So we see temperatures of 46, 47 degrees Celsius in summers, and in winters it goes just maybe like 5, 6 degrees. But I land in Glasgow in September, and it's raining and very cold in November. Like you see the sunset at 3:30. So those things are not that great. Other than that, like in terms of living there, we have domestic helps and everything at our disposal all the time here in India. It's relatively cheap as well compared to the UK. When you go there, you have to probably cook yourself or something like that. And then university education, most importantly, as I have studied here as well as UK. India, we are used to like spoon feeding, and at times, I won't say always, you may copy your assignments or something. In UK, it's nothing like spoon feeding. So the lecturer would come, the professor would come and like tell you stuff, teach you, and then you have to do things by yourself. And you can't copy stuff. You have like plagiarism softwares and Turnitin and all that in my time. So those few things were different, but overall, I would say being English speaking country, it was a very smooth transition.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, I think the independence of our study system and experience is definitely something that is different to other destinations in terms of what it requires in terms of, from a social aspect and also in the learning environment as well. And I come to yourself, Laura, how was the transition from India to the UK, Scotland, and so for yourself?
Yeah, so I come from, I was born and brought up in Surat, Gujarat, and I worked in Mumbai for a couple of years after my, graduation in back home. So on, yeah, in terms of, moving here for the first time, I came last September. And surprisingly, I had no one with, my relatives or my friends who are based in Glasgow or Scotland overall. So I was pretty much all alone when I came here, and it was quite, I was quite afraid or, a bit worried about, how I'm going to settle in a new country, 6,000 kilometers away, and, with no help or no contacts at all. I mean, I had made a few contacts via LinkedIn who are studying in Strathclyde, but I mean, those are just online friends. I would say I had no like personal relationships with anyone. So I was kind of, worried about how I'm gonna settle. But after coming here, starting from airport itself, it was pretty easy for me to, do the whole transition into, moving in a different country and living in a different city. So even starting from commuting from airport to my accommodation, it was quite easy. I didn't have to worry about anything because uni has already provided all kinds of material or documents that might help me reach wherever I want to reach. And after coming to my accommodation, settling there are multiple facilities available. I had new roommates. So, connecting with them, it was pretty easy. When I started my uni for the first week, I was a bit lost on, oh, okay, what to do, where to go. But there are a lot of, let's say, volunteers or people at the uni who is just, there to literally help you out in your first month or first week. They'll tell you exactly how you're supposed to go about the uni, how you're supposed to download whatever you are, supposed to in terms of academic applications or the university applications and how to navigate through them, how do you organize your classes, and how to manage everything. So it was pretty easy transition apparently. Yeah, definitely I came in here when winter had just started. So winters here are quite different than what we have back home. Especially me coming from Mumbai or Gujarat, we don't have cold temperatures there. Like minimum it goes is 15, 20 degrees Celsius. So it was a bit different, honestly, in terms of climate, but didn't it wasn't really difficult, honestly. I really accommodated myself very well, especially also in terms of the academic structure. Yeah, like Devish mentioned, in master, especially in master's program, yeah, you have to do things on your own. And I think that's what's expected from a master student as well. Um, for me, especially being a chartered accountant, I've never had a proper university or college experience. I've never been to a college before Strathclyde. So, having a kind of a university experience that I had imagined, I kind of got it. I mean, more or less, it's not that glamorized as we see in the movies, but yeah, it was quite easy transition, I would say.
Oh, thank you, Gaurav. And finally, Amber, how's your transition over to the UK coming from India?
I would say, I mean, initially, whenever you move to another country, the transition is always going to be difficult, no matter where you move. So I'd say it was the same for me. However, I would like to say that there were times during the first year that I obviously had a lot of issues with weather, but then you kind of get settled because you find your options to kind of cover yourself and get that warmth. So there's plenty of that. Also, we had the Freshers Week. So initially, when I came down, we had a Freshers Week, and it was a great way for the union to kind of get all of the students together. So I think that kind of smoothened my transition because you meet people who are almost all of them, most of them are doing their first year. And that's nice because you don't really feel lost because you feel like, okay, everybody is in the same boat. And that kind of helped. Also, you see a lot of Indian faces in Glasgow, which is absolutely amazing. It kind of gives you a feeling of, okay, I know that there are people who come from the same background, and therefore you might be more understood. That kind of feeling of comfort and home kind of settles in as well. So I think overall the transition it did take time, I'm not going to lie about that, but it was pretty smooth. Especially like Gaurav and Divij mentioned, there were many materials available as well, and there was plenty of support. But I would say that if you do come, you need to kind of put your feet ahead as well to kind of get to know more people, and that kind of helps you transition well. So yeah.
That's great, thank you. So yeah, I take from Carl. Yeah, we've got a strong Indian community here at the university, and South Asian community here in Glasgow, as well. Really strong tie between Glasgow and that part of the world. So hopefully that's, and you guys on it's kind of, you have that comfort and you have that sense of home within Glasgow as well. And yeah, absolutely, the support services are there, but it's about making sure that you use them and use what's available to you. But yeah, really appreciate all your feedback on those. Sticking with Gaurav and Amber in terms of services or that the university provides, how easy was your experience in student accommodation in Glasgow? There's a lot of students who are coming over, might still be looking for accommodation, I've maybe already got it sorted. But yeah, how easy was your experience in student accommodation here in Glasgow? Go to yourself first, Amber.
I'd say that because Glasgow is becoming a more popular kind of destination to kind of study, there is an amount of scarcity right now in terms of accommodation, which was also the case back when I was coming. So there, I kind of got an accommodation reference. So I didn't get the university accommodation, but I got referred a private accommodation by the help of the university. And that's where I was staying. I was staying in an ensuite room, which was actually really nice. And I'd say that in terms of accommodation, it's always nicer to start early because you get the rooms of your choice. You also get to choose the kind of roommates you'd want to be with, given you can put in your preferences in terms of how you are, whether you are okay with noise or no. And those kind of things actually kind of make a difference because you need a stable home of sorts to kind of figure out your university life, which is most times changing and dynamic that way. So yeah, accommodation was a bit hard to find, but I think if you start early and you start kind of finding places, you are definitely going to find one that's right for you. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks. And Gaurav, yourself?
Yeah, so I applied actually to the program pretty late. I think last July, and I got my unconditional offer letter, I guess. So yeah, I was pretty late to my whole process as well. But in terms of, when I was also looking, and you guys must be also hearing a lot of news about accommodation scarcity, there's kind of a crunch in terms of securing things here because a lot of students are coming into Glasgow. So yeah, see, I would be honest, it is true that it's kind of difficult to find an accommodation, especially when you are, a lot of, worried about your whole program, how you're going to transition, and on top of that, securing an accommodation is a task as well. Also, since if you don't know anyone here, you can't really physically have that kind of a guarantee or security in terms of, oh, it's safe to get a particular accommodation that you find online, because there are obviously going to be a lot of scam happening online as well. So I would say, I would just recommend what I did. Once you get your unconditional offer letter, you directly go to the university accommodation page, start registering your interest there, and as Ambe mentioned, as early as possible, because it does run out pretty quickly. But if you get accommodation which is suggested by a university or at the university, it's the best thing you could do, rather than getting into a private flat or something like that. So yeah, I registered my interest for the university accommodation. And yeah, within I think a week or so, I got a offer letter from one of the private accommodations, which is collaborated with the uni itself. So I got the accommodation via the uni directly, rather than going through some other agent or some other websites or something like that. I live in an on-suite accommodation, so basically I share my flat with four different roommates. All are from different countries, so you get a bit of diversity there as well. And I would say, apart from that, there are, I don't know if you guys know about it, but there are like two, three kinds of accommodations that you might find in Glasgow. One is on-site, which I mentioned. You have a common kitchen, you share that with four or five other people. You have separate bathrooms, separate rooms for yourself. So that's kind of an on-site room. A studio apartment is basically one single room, which is just for you, one person. It has all kinds of necessities, kitchen, bathroom, and your bed within that one particular room. So depending upon what's your budget, how do you want to live alone or with people, you can choose your options on there as well. Especially, I would say, once you go through the university accommodation portal, there are like links where you can connect with the people in the Strathclyde Union as well, who will help you with any of the questions you have regarding accommodation. So, when I was signing my accommodation contract as well, I connected with one of the union representatives, and I asked them any questions that I had regarding accommodation, or whether it's safe to enter into a contract, what kind of things I should keep in mind before I sign anything, or is there any other way I should think about it, look for some other places. And they really helped me out, because they are already based in Glasgow. They know the environment, they know the culture. So yeah, these are the facilities I think you should use. Go to the portal, book an appointment with somebody from the uni, and just talk with them. Just have your one-to-one questions answered, and that's a great way to start your accommodation search, rather than going through some shady, unprofessional, or unsafe website, I guess. So yeah, that's a good way to go about it.
That's great. Thank you both to kind of hear about the different experiences as well. And I think, yeah, as Amber said, applying early is really the key when it comes to accommodation, and obviously to give yourself kind of the best chance or to secure your most preferred accommodation. But it's good to hear from yourself that you were a little bit later in the process, but it didn't, we were still able to find something. So hopefully that is comforting. You are maybe not sorted yet, or still a little bit later the process as well. I'm going to come to you to Fidge for a new question. Obviously, I think you've already touched upon this already in terms of Glasgow's addition, but how, in terms of affordability, Glasgow, how do you find Glasgow is an affordable city to live? Was it easy to get around Glasgow whilst you were here as well, in your experience?
So I would say yes, it is pretty affordable. I'll break it down into like two things. Like, one is accommodation, and the other stuff is like food and all that stuff, and logistics, you're traveling around. So traveling around is pretty cheap. You have like local apps like Hamden taxis. You can use Uber and all as well. And you have buses, trains, which you can use, and you can pretty much also walk to a variety of places. Like in India, we have very narrow footpaths, and like the weather doesn't support you to walk outside. But in Glasgow, like let's say you are staying near the university somewhere, you can pretty much walk to the Socky Hall street or different street, Pollock Shields as well. People used to do that. Like you can, let's say, walk maybe 2-3 miles, walk with your friends. That's pretty okay. Or you can take a bus if you get tired and all, right? If it comes to accommodation, yeah, it is a little bit expensive compared to India because of the currency conversion. And unfortunately, when I was moving to UK, the pound was like just 80-90 rupees. And when I moved to UK, it suddenly touched $100 as we were seeing a tectonic shift in the Indian government at in those years. So um, again, I would like to say, like students, especially people who are coming to do masters, they should keep in mind maybe like I would say anywhere it's again their individual preference, anywhere between 500 to £1,000 a month for accommodation, eating outside maybe once or twice a week, and like cooking themselves, traveling around, and other stuff, and not rely on the part-time jobs because the course is pretty hectic. You will have to give your fullest. It's just a 1 year master's program in most of the courses. So keep that in mind, keep that as part of a budget. And if you get a part time job, it's great and like will definitely support you.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Divesh. Um, and yeah, another concern that students come to us with is as well, or not a concern, a question is food. Obviously, I've been to India a number of times. The food is amazing. You have fantastic cuisine, but they're worried that the UK is going to be very different or difficult for them to maybe eat a diet similar to that they do back home. How easy or not easy was it for you to do that in
Food,
Glasgow?
food was pretty easy. Like people would be surprised, especially people who eat non-veg. The national dish of the UK is chicken tikka masala. People can just Google it right away if they want to just cross check the fact. You get pretty much nice Indian food. There are a lot of Indian restaurants, a lot of I would say Scottish people, British people, they also like Indian food. So you pretty much get it everywhere. And the quality of food, if I'll say the quality of roti or chapati, the Indian bread, is better compared to what we get in India. You get a tandoori roti in India, whereas you get a handmade roti in the UK. So it's pretty good. And if you still miss home food, there is a gurdwara just like 4 or 5 kilometers from the university. New Glasgow Gurdwara, if I remember the name correctly. People generally go there and they serve you meals all the time. There is a temple also, so you can pretty much visit these places if you miss the home cooked food, and they treat you really well. And there are plenty of restaurants, and if let's say like you belong to Delhi and nearby areas and you're traveling in 2024, so I would say you won't feel the food is very expensive. It is pretty much similarly priced. I would say maybe 20% more, which I considered cheaper from UK standards. So like easily someone, let's say in a mid restaurant, maybe you can eat in like £10, have a good meal. And if you go to a lavish restaurant, maybe 30, 35 to £40 per head.
That's great. Thanks so much, Divesh. And I'm Ben Dora. So you kind of smiling and nodding some presuming experiences. So, do you have any kind of favourite places that you go currently whilst you're in Glasgow at the moment?
So I don't remember the name of the place because I frequently travel to London. I haven't been to Glasgow after I graduated. So probably I'll leave it to Ambe or Gaurav if they could, because I'm not sure if those places would have been shut or maybe relocated or somewhere. There were places on Ingram Street and Socky Hall Street. There were plenty of places which served Indian food and all, but I don't exactly remember the name right now.
No problem. Thank you to Vince. Really appreciate that. And both Amber and Gaurav, probably a perception that and probably rightfully so, as you can hear my accent, but the Scottish accent can be sometimes a little bit hard to understand. Has that been your experience, or have you managed to start to pick up and understand our accent and the language that is slightly different to the rest of the UK and some Scottish phrases, shall we say?
Yeah, I mean, we hear that all the time on, social media or even online that Irish or Scottish accent is one of the best and most attractive accent in the world, I'd say. But yeah, I mean, see, I'm not gonna lie, it gets quite tricky to understand at first because you've never heard people in that kind of an accent back home. It's they speak quite differently. There are certain words which are very specific to Scotland only. Even I don't think English people use those phrases, and these are not common English phrases, but it's very local to Scotland, or especially the Glaswegian accent. It's even more hard, I would say. So yeah, I think it's gonna take you a couple months. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. To get to know the people, to get to understand the accent. But yeah, you'll be fine. I mean, after 10, 12 months here, I'm all right with the accent. And I don't have any issues with that. But yeah, the trick is to keep talking with people. Meet a lot of local people wherever you go. Talk with them, even in the university as well. That's how you'll get to know better. And people are so nice, honestly. In the first couple of months, when I can understand somebody speaking, I would just ask them to repeat whatever they said, or can you please speak slowly or something like that. And they're really sweet about it. They do try to make you feel comfortable about it. They do try to tone their accent down, or to reduce their speed of thoughts, to just so that they can help you understand themselves better. So yeah, it's exciting, honestly. Don't worry about it. Accent isn't gonna be a big deal for you.
Brilliant, thank you, Gaurav. And hopefully you'll be able to start integrating some of those Scottish phrases into your day-to-day conversations as well. And moving on, and Amber, how's student life been for you at university? Obviously, you've been here a couple of years and doing one of our undergraduate degrees. Are you involved in any clubs or societies? How's your life away from kind of the studies sort of part of things, and does Glasgow have a good social scene?
Yeah, I mean, Glasgow is known for its social scenes, and I think that the university sets a really good standard as well for all the other places that you go to. So I am a part of the Strathclyde Indian Student Association. It's called SISA, and we celebrate all of the Indian festivals, I think, relatively as grand as we would kind of celebrate here in India as well. There are festivals that I may have missed in India, but I know when I've went to Strathclyde, there's nothing that they miss, because they know that people in India are from different religions, and they kind of want to tend to celebrate most of the festivals because they want to be inclusive. And that's really good, because you kind of get the Indian taste in Scotland. So that is one of the clubs I'm involved in. So you have Diwali, you have Holi, which are one of the biggest festivals in India. and you kind of get to do the same kind of dances. You get to play with colors in the Rotten Row Gardens, which is amazing. Nobody would have thought that you can play in the center of your university, spinning colors all over. But yeah, that's something that the club kind of, or the society kind of makes sure you get to do. So that way it's really great. The social life as well is absolutely amazing. There are so many places to go. There are endless, I'd say, party places, and there are also places that you just like to go and kind of get or set your pace for the week. So that's really nice because once in a while, everybody needs a little break. So that way it's great. Glasgow, that way you have a lot of things to do. So you're definitely not going to get bored. That's for sure. And if you keep yourself kind of involved and engaged within the societies, you're always going to meet new people, and that's going to kind of create a more lasting experience for yourself. So I think it's great that way.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, Amber. Yeah, great to hear. The Indian Students Association as well. In terms of sticking with yourself, Amber, and maybe come to yourself, Gaurav, as well. What does, obviously you're an undergraduate student for us, postgraduate, what does a typical week look like in terms of you know, for yourself? In terms of how much time are you in the classroom, how much time are you studying, how much time do you have for free time? Obviously, your schedules will be slightly different, and then maybe you have a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more free time for undergrad and 4 years, Gaurav, a little bit more intense and studying because you're track cram everything in that 1 year. But just to give a rough idea of what your week schedule would look like, and where we're coming from.
Yep, I'd say that my kind of week looks fine until tutorials start. So there's something called lectures that you have here, and you have tutorials accompanied with them, but they kind of start in the second week. That's when things start to get a bit busy. So on a usual day, I mean, in a usual schedule, I'd go to university at least 4 days a week. Out of the 7 days. And my day could either be 9 to 5, considering I have classes from 9 to 11, 11 to 1. It can differ. And it can also be that I have a class in the morning and then I have a class right up in the evening. So there's like lots of space in the middle to kind of do what I want to do. So as an undergrad student, I also have taken up a lot of part-time jobs. So you'd see me kind of come to university because that's where my part-time jobs are. So I'm at the university for most part, but it's between doing part-time jobs, socializing with my friends, and also kind of attending lectures and tutorials. So that's kind of an overview of kind of my week.
Very thank you, Amber. And Gaurav, is your week look similar, or is there some differences there in comparison to maybe what the undergraduate student would experience?
I believe it's a bit different. Honestly, you try to finish. So in general, even in India or other parts of the world, postgraduate degrees are usually 2 years, but in the UK it's 1 year. So you wrap up everything, each and everything in your course material within a span of 1 year. So it's quite hectic in terms of my week. I have usually classes all 5 days of the week, but they are usually around 4 hours, 3 hours a day for all the 5 days. And yeah, but you'll be quite busy in terms of if you're doing post graduation, there'll be assignments, there'll be projects that you need to do or presentations that you need to give, let's say every week or something. So you'll be always busy with the uni work. So you'll never find yourself, feeling bored or free as such. But yeah, you can also always take time out of yourself, or even take time in the weekends. And take time out for your part-times as well. I work in the uni as well for my part-time job. So but my job consists of making content and stuff. So I usually do my part-time from home itself or remotely basically. But yeah, it will be hectic, but it won't be as busy as you would expect it to be. I mean, you will have free time for yourself, to cook, to travel, and there'll be summer breaks, there'll be winter breaks as well, where you can just go around, roam around UK or Glasgow or Scotland. You can do things for yourself, so it will be fine. But I think the only tip I would give to keep up with the whole time management in terms of post graduation specifically is to do little every single day so that you don't have a big chunk of pending task at the end of your deadline. So just do studies for a couple of hours a day every day so that you'll be fine when the deadlines are closer or exams are closer, let's say.
Thank you. So we've got about 5-10 minutes left. I've still got a few questions that we'll go through because I want to leave time for SIUK to and the audience members to ask any questions that they may want for myself or the panel here. So we'll try and get through these questions as quickly as possible and keep answers brief if we can. But come to Rich, I know you mentioned this already that there was a very diverse student body here. You're connecting with students all over the world. How easy was it to connect with other students and be introduced to other students and kind of have that network of fellow students whilst you were studying?
So I would say when I was traveling, we used to have Facebook groups, and we also used to reach out to university if they could connect us to a few people who are going to join the program. So generally, we connected through Facebook groups with the people, and I arrived around like 4 or 5 days earlier than my joining date at the university. And then when you join the class, you mingle with different nationalities, you start talking to them. And as I was a master's student, so people pretty much had, I would say, if not 100% clear vision what they wanted to do, they still had like clarity on what they want to do now in life, like whether they wish to probably find some jobs in the UK or go back to their home country or somewhere else. And stuff like that. So it was pretty easy to align your goals with some of the people. And other thing I would say to people coming from India, like there are like plenty of colleges, good colleges in India also. So if you are going to the UK to University of Strathclyde, you are going there for exposure. So make friends with Indian people, but don't just be with the Indian people. Make friends with the other nationalities as well, because that is your global network. And your network, when you start working, you realize this: your network is your net worth. So sitting here, I can dial someone in El Salvador or Canada or Germany. That is how your network would help you in the future. So if you go with this goal, things would be very easy. And like you should like go with a learning attitude. Like even for that matter, like Scottish accent, as Gaurav was earlier mentioning, it's totally different. Like in generally you in English you say I need little bit of this, but Scottish people say I need wee bit of this, right? So that's the popular thing. I remember like how you pronounce world. We say world, they say world. So just go with the learning attitude, and it would be a cakewalk for you guys. We come from kind of English speaking country as well now, so it would be easy.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, Rich. So I've got kind of three topics that I want to cover. So, and if I come to you, what kind of support services are in place for students at the university? Have you used any? And also a kind of follow-up question. I know you mentioned you're working right now. Is there support services in place for students that want to kind of part-time work or want career help kind of post-graduation?
Yeah, so there are basically academic support systems that run at the university, and there are also emotional well-being support systems that you kind of get. When it comes to academic support systems, there's something called the LDS, so the Learners Development Service. That's where you can kind of get a tutorial for subjects like science, maths, even business for that instance. And that kind of helps because while your classes or your lectures are going to go on, there may be times you kind of get stuck and you want to clear out a concept. They kind of help you do that. So they schedule a call or they'll get in touch with you and kind of provide you with all of the resources you kind of need to kind of clear your basics to kind of move on in your class well. So that's one sort of academic support that you get. In terms of emotional support as well, I remember before exam time, we always usually get this kind of email with with our advisor, and we can always talk to them about things that are going to be confidential. So whether it be about exam stress, whether it just be about some sort of emotional distress, there's always going to be that kind of support available to you. And I'd say that when you do join the university, you do get assigned with one of the advisors, and that's kind of very helpful because they don't only help you with your academic kind of goals, but they also help make sure that you're doing well emotionally. In terms of work support, there's so you're always free to kind of give your feedback. That really kind of helps. And your employer will always, most times if you work at the university, your employer will kind of always ask you what your goals are, or what you kind of intend to get out of this job. And when you do tell them that, they kind of give you those opportunities that are designed to kind of get you those outcomes. So that's really good in terms of support. So there's plenty of support available. Like I said, you just need to reach out. That's the only thing you're going to have to do. But yeah.
Thank you. I come to you, David, kind of sticking with the careers that obviously I'm going to go rather. I'm currently studying right now, and I'm sure I'm probably keen to hear from you in terms of your experiences post-graduation. But how has your learning, your experience at University of Strathclyde, your degree that you earned, how's that helped you in terms of your career goals, your search, and obviously kind of post-graduation in terms of finding work and entering the work environment?
So I would say UK pretty much made me independent. So if I recall my journey right now, you come back to India or move to any other country, even in UK, the major difference is we don't have a concept of campus placements in UK. So you do have job fairs, you do have career services to help you, and Strathclyde is entrepreneurial university, gives rise to a lot of entrepreneurs. Other than that, you will have to apply for graduate programs or other vacancies by yourself. So that is something people should come prepared. And if you're moving back to India, again, because you're applying for yourself, getting a job is easy, but getting a good salary is relatively difficult in the current world when a lot of big companies here in India, they'll just do campus recruitments from other good universities like IIMs, ABC, which are pretty popular in India. So you will have to struggle a little bit to find the right opportunity, but we do have alumni groups, Strathclyde alumni groups. You do reach out to those people. A lot of them would be pretty helpful to you guys. And other than this, I would say just go with a vision. Like I would say, almost all of my batchmates, and I'm in touch with a few seniors of mine and a few juniors as well. They are doing pretty good, and like 3 4 years down the line, this education and global exposure helps you a lot. So I stayed in India from 2015 to 2018, worked for startups, and because I was independent and like I understood different subjects, it makes you a master, not a master, I would say jack of a lot of trades, right? And then I relocated to Middle East again because I knew how to deal with a lot of nationalities staying and studying in the UK. In my class, I had like close to 17 different nationalities out of the bunch of 55, 60 students we had. So that like you learn. So let's say like a German, like you have a group work meeting. We used to do a lot of group work in the course. They would reach 10 minutes earlier for that particular group work, and uh, Indian people generally, we initially were 5 10 minutes late or something like that. We were casual about it, right? So you learn how Chinese people work, how Germans work, how British people handle different things. people who are like pretty emotionally attached with the stuff, people who are totally professional and do not like to like work, let's say after 5 o'clock, or let's say Asian people are different. So that helps a lot. And then again, like as I said, your network. Let's say you are applying for some job in some XYZ country, and you don't know what is a good salary there, or whether that particular job role would provide you future growth or something, right? You can easily reach out to your classmates or some other person in from your university, and a few years down the line people definitely help you around that. And like university gives a lot of exposure for sure. As I mentioned, participation in G20 youth forums, youth summits. I met a lot of CXOs in Switzerland for that matter. So university is there to support, but yeah, they will be doing hand holding. Spoon feeding would be missing. So if someone is thinking that they'll just graduate from the university, let's say on Monday, and Tuesday they will be having a 40,000 pounds salary job, that is like you're lucky if you have that, to summarize.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Division. Yeah, really good to hear about you, and really useful to hear about your experiences and what the degree is done for you. To wrap up, just keen to kind of summarise. I mean, before we maybe get some questions from the audience and those who are blogging live. Gaurav, if I come to you first, and I'll come to you all briefly. What's the one bit of advice would you give to students considering studying at Strathclyde, and what do you wish you knew before you studied either at Strathclyde, in Glasgow, or Scotland, or the UK?
Honestly, the best advice that I could give based out of my own experience is networking is the key. You have to get out of your comfort zone. I mean, coming here, doing this whole program and leaving my good job. I just decided to get out of that comfort. I wanted to pursue something different. Wanted to get that exposure. Um, so yeah, you can't be reserved within your own self. I mean, you are out all the way 6,000 kilometers away of your home. You need to open up. You need to talk with people. Don't be shy regarding talking with anyone. The more you talk with people, the more you connect, meet people. That's going to help you a lot. I mean, like Divij mentioned, even with jobs and after your graduation, whatever networks that you've made or friends that you've connected professionally as well, they'll be an asset to you in terms of getting a job, understanding a particular country's exposure or a particular field's exposure or something. So even and that networking starts from this moment onwards. I mean, even if you are in India, go on LinkedIn, find people who are studying at Stress like currently in your course, other courses who have graduated from your course, talk with them, connect with them, send cold emails to people, cold messages to people. Don't worry about them not responding, doesn't matter. If you message 10 people, let's say two might reply, they might be very helpful to you, and don't worry about the rest of the other 8 people. I mean, that doesn't matter. You have to get that confidence in terms of meeting networking people. And yeah, I mean, and a bit of advice. I mean, see, honestly, nobody knows what they are doing when they are, here. I mean, everybody is in the same boat. So yeah, you don't have to be 100% prepared when you are here. Obviously, there are gonna be. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. There will be struggle. It's not easy here, but with your hard work and with whatever dreams or plans that you bring when you are coming here, yeah, it will be worth it, honestly. Even after all these struggles, I mean, you get over the struggles, but the learnings and the exposures you get, that's the thing that you are here for. So I think the thing that I can't remember honestly. There are a lot of mistakes that obviously I've also made, but something that I wish I had done more before coming here was again the same thing I mentioned. Networked with more people. I connected with people on LinkedIn, but I mean there was only limited number of people I connected. I wish I would have connected with many more people, which would have helped me. But yeah, after coming here, I did that bit of a thing which I was supposed to do back home. But yeah, it's fine at this moment. But if you are early in the process, we are here to give our experiences. So take that from people. Yeah, you'll be fine. Don't worry.
That's great. Thank you, Gaurav. And yeah, we have obviously you can connect with our student ambassadors online as well, so you're able to reach out to them on the official university website as well. Obviously, Gaurav's highlighted a couple of kind of informal things that you can do. Go via LinkedIn, go through maybe Facebook groups that the university will set up, things like that as well. The Students Indian Association is again another network, but yeah, we have official channels on the university website to connect you both, to connect you with as well before you arrive. I'm a little bit conscious for time. I know we've kind of come to the hour. I was keen to kind of hear from our individual what maybe their advice would be as well, but we've maybe ran a little bit over. So I'll maybe just pass to you just now, just see if maybe I'll come back down and Divaj for that if we don't have any questions, but just to see if we had any questions from anybody that's watching live at the moment.
Thank you so much, Scott. Mostly questions are already covered by the student. There is one question that is different, so I'll ask that question. Does the university provide work visa post-study?
Yes, so the graduate route for the UK is still there and remains so as part of graduating or completing your degree in the UK, either at bachelor's level or master's level. You'll be entitled to stay in the UK for up to 2 years as part of the graduate route. Our visa team on campus, which I'm related to as well, they'll be able to help you in terms of you need advice in terms of submitting that visa application from within the UK. They'll be able to provide support, information and advice in helping students do that. They will need to apply for that extension or that graduate route visa before they finish their studies, but they'll absolutely be able to do that if that's something that they would like to do, remain in the UK and potentially get some work experience here in the UK before potentially returning overseas, or potentially then applying for the skilled worker visa that you may be able to do if you have a job or a company that's able to support you in doing that.
So all other questions are already covered during the presentation. Thank you so much for giving this insightful presentation and answering all the questions so well. Do you want to share any final words?
No, that's great. Thank you so much, Ute. Thank you so much for those who joined live today. I was going to say this morning, but I recognise it's afternoon for yourselves in India. But just a huge thanks to our panel, Amber, Gaurav, and Divaj. It was super insightful for myself, and I'm sure it was extremely useful for our audience and for those who may be watching live and or will be watching back as well. If you are keen to get in touch or want to contact myself with any further questions, then please do get in touch with SI UK and they can share my contact details with yourself. But big thanks to SI UK for helping us host this webinar as well. Hopefully we will be able to see those who are still considering ourselves either in September or this January coming up.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your valuable time. All the audience, if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact the SI UK India office. For more update, do follow us on our social media handles. Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.